गोपीजन गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारि यमुना तीरवनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कलित पावन श्री नाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो
भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
हरे कृष्णा Welcome every one of you. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Signs of God, Chapter 2, verse number 43. Yathanalo darushu bhinna bhinna iyate yathanilo dehagata prithaka sthita यथा नभ सर्वगतं न सज्जते तथा पुमान् सर्वगुणाश्रय पर यथा नलो दारुषु भिन्नयते यथा निलो देहगता पृथक् स्थिता यथा नभ सर्वगतं न सज्जते तथा पुमान् सर्वगुणाश्रय पर. Synonyms: yatha, just as; anala, the fire; darushu, in wood; bhinna, separate; iyate, is perceived; yatha, just as; anila, the air; dehagata, within the body; prathak, separate; sthita, situated; yatha, just as; nabha, the sky; sarvagatam, all pervading; na, not; sajjate, mixed; tatha, similarly; uman, living entity; sarva guna ashraya, although now the shelter of the modes of material nature; para, transcendental to material contamination. Translation: as fire, although situated in wood, is perceived to be different from the wood; as air, although situated within the mouth and nostrils, is perceived to be separate; and as the sky, although all pervading, never mixes with anything. So the living entity, although now engaged within the material body, of which it is the source, is separate from it. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has explained that the material energy and spiritual energy both emanate from Him. Material energy is described as Me Bhinna Pratakarashtada, the eight separated energies of the Lord. But although the eight gross and subtle material energies, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are stated to be bhinna, separate from the Lord. Actually, they are not. As fire appears separate from the wood, and as the air flowing through nostrils and mouth of the body appears separate from the body, so the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears separate from the living being, but is actually separate and not separate simultaneously. This is philosophy of Vachita Bheda Tattva, founded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to the reactions of karma, the living being appears separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but actually he is very intimately related to the Lord. Consequently, even though we now seem neglected by the Lord, He is actually always alert to our activities. Under all circumstances, therefore, we should simply depend on the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus revive our intimate relationship with Him. We must depend upon the authority and control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshudhanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Everyone, all of you are welcome here in this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto 7, chapter number 2 and verse number 43. So as we discussed last time also, here Hiranyakashipu, who is consoling his mother, his sister-in-law, his wife of his brother, and his nephews. And he's trying to console them, trying to relieve them from the sorrow of the departure of Hiranyaksha, who was killed by Lord Vishnu in the incarnation of Varahadev. So here, Hiranyakashipu is saying that as fire, is although situated in wood, is perceived to be different from the wood. Air, although situated within the mouth and nostrils, is perceived to be separate, and as the sky, although all-pervading, never mixes with anything. The living entity, although now encased within the material body of which it is the source, is separate from it. So the knowledge, this is trying to console them by knowledge that the person who is departed is still alive, because the form which we are seeing in front of us is just a body. And my brother, to whom I used to talk, he is still present, he has not died. He was just encaged in this body and now he's out of this body. So this knowledge Hiranyakashipu is trying to give to his relatives. So regarding knowledge, there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita also, chapter 13, verse number 18. Krishna says, Jnanam Geyam Jnanagamyam Hridi Sarvasya Vishtitam. Knowledge is in the Jnanam. Jnana means knowledge. And Geyam means the object of knowledge. And Jnanagamyam means goal of knowledge. So, Krishna, he is the knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. So, yes, Krishna is knowledge, and he is the object of okay, we can understand that yes, Krishna is knowledge, but how to understand this that he is the object of knowledge, and he is also the goal of knowledge. You can see using the analogy that student studying in college. So what is the object? The study, what is studying, for example, any subject he is studying. For example, if he is studying computers, that study of computers is object of knowledge. Studying any programming language, that is object of his knowledge. If he is studying about a particular subject, for example, studying science or mathematics, that subject is the object of his knowledge. He want to master that subject. But what is the, you can say, a goal of knowledge? Goal of knowledge is that by using that knowledge, you want to earn something. You want money. Subject is the object of his knowledge, and money is the goal of his knowledge. Similarly, Krishna is Jnanam. So what is Geyam? Krishna is Geyam. Krishna is the object of our knowledge. And what is Jnana Gamyam, goal of our knowledge? Goal of knowledge is we want to serve Krishna. That is the goal of knowledge. After knowing Krishna, we want to serve him. So, Gajendra also refers to Krishna as knowledge. He says, Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha. He says, Krishna, who is knowledge, I worship him, I offer my obeisances to him. These three stages, Jnanam, Geyam, and Jnanagamyam. So, as we have different levels of understanding Krishna, Brahmeti, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavati Shabdate. Similarly, Jnanam, Geyam, and Jnana Gamyam can also be understood in different levels. For example, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manamana Bhava Madhvakta. He Manamana means always think of me and Bhava Madhvakta. So even uh, those who are Paramatma Vadi or those who speculate about Lord, those who are they just what you say yogis. Yes, that's the right word, yogis. So yogis also dwell in Krishna in their thoughts. They also always remember Lord. They also always trying to meditate upon the Lord, but they are not devotees. They do manmana, but they don't do bhavamad bhakta. So for them, Jnana Geyam. They know that Krishna is Jnanam, Krishna is knowledge. They know that object of knowledge is Krishna, Jnana Geyam, but they are not practicing Jnana Gamyam. What is to be achieved to that knowledge? That is Krishna Prem. So Jnanam is Krishna, Jnana Gamyam, uh, Geyam. Jnanam, Geyam, and what is the third one? Jnana Gamyam. So Krishna is Jnanam. Geyam means we have to study Krishna. And Jnana Gamyam, what will we achieve after studying Krishna? It's Jnana Gamyam, that's love of Krishna, service to Krishna. So yogis, they are only stuck up to the Gayam, they want to study Krishna, but they are manmana, but they don't practice Bhavamad Bhakta, so they are not yet reached the Jnana Gamyam stage, where they can achieve love of Krishna and practice service to Krishna. So this knowledge is real knowledge. Why this is real knowledge? Because any other knowledge, no matter how people do PhDs in different subject matters. For example, one person was debating with Srila Prabhupada that I am doing a PhD in what? In this grass, the atoms of the grass. Srila Prabhupada was saying that this is nonsense. We should try to study who made this grass. That is Krishna. So here, Hiranyakashipu is trying to impart the knowledge to his relatives, his mother, his sister-in-law, his nephews, so that they come out of the depression that his brother Hiranyaksha has left this world. But the point is, intellectually, Hiranyakashipu knows that I am not this body. Even my brother Hiranyaksha was not this body. He is spirit soul. He was spirit soul. He is spirit soul. But he is not practicing that. How do we know that? Because here he is saying this that body is destined to die, soul never dies, body is made up of five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, which are separate natures of the Lord. Vinna Prakriti Rashtrada, as Krishna says in Gita. And specifically in this verse, he's saying that yes, soul was present in this body, but he was not part of this body. Analogy is he's saying here that although fire is in the wood, but practically speaking, there is no fire in the wood. Air, which passes through nostrils, present in the nostrils, but simultaneously it is separate from the nostrils. And sky, although all pervading, but never mixes with anything. Similarly, living entity which is now engaged in the material body, but simultaneously the soul is not part of the body, it's separate from the body. So this whole knowledge Hiranyakashipu is trying to impart to his family members, but yet at the same time we know that he only knows this intellectually, he was not realized in that knowledge. How can we say that? Because after this incident, Hiranyakashipu himself wanted to take revenge of his brother's death from Lord Vishnu. He knew Vishnu killed him. So how to kill Lord Vishnu? Because Lord Vishnu is very powerful. I can't kill him because he's present in Vishnu. So in order to kill Vishnu, I have to gain special powers. So he went to practice austerity. Thousands of Lord Brahma came, benedicted him with various benedictions. After achieving such great powers, now Hiranyakashipu practically went on to demolish the whole Vaishnav culture in the world. In order to kill Vishnu, in order to decrease the power of demigods, he stopped yagyas, he demolishes various hermitages, he checked the practice of various sacrifices, he even killed various brahmanas, he killed cows, he even burned forests from where the wood came to practice to do sacrifices, which empowers the demigods. So he was totally devastating everything. Why? Just to take the revenge of his brother's death. Similarly, so point is that this knowledge of the science of God, is not what we say just gyan, it's vigyan. It's not only intellectual knowledge, it's realized knowledge. As you see, uh, knowledge of Gita sometimes misrepresented in movies also. That a villain uh, hostage a particular person, points a gun, keep that person on a gunpoint and says that don't worry, even if I shoot you, you will not die because you're not this body, you're ultimately spirit soul. So, and regarding your bank balance, don't worry about that because you came empty-handed to this world and you will go empty-handed to this from this world. Whatever you have taken, you have taken from this world and you will leave this all this in this world only. So they're trying to give this knowledge of Gita and they're justifying their killing that I have not killed anyone. The body was already dead and soul never dies. Soul is immortal. So I have not killed anyone. And they shoot other person. So bottom line is that people know this knowledge of Gita intellectually, but they don't have realization of that knowledge. For example, Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita scolds Arjuna that when in the first canto first chapter Arjun Vishad Arjuna was lamenting for the death that he have to kill his own kinsmen, he have to kill his own relatives, gurus, brother-in-laws, father-in-law, uncles, sons, you can say sons of his cousins. So all these are my kinsmen. How can I kill them? So this will only bring sins and misery to our kingdom, to my life. So he was justifying his non-violence. Krishna reprimanded Arjuna, saying that although you are foolish, but you're speaking like a wise man. You think that you are a wise, but the words you are saying, they are totally foolish. Because you're lamenting for what the wise man don't lament. Because soul never died. So means this knowledge of Gita, it's not intellectual knowledge, it's realized knowledge, and we can realize this knowledge only by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. It's not just that we read something in the book, we even memorize it, and yes, we are into it. No, it's not like that. We have to practice that. We have to serve devotees, we have to serve Krishna, and through this, when Krishna and devotees are pleased by that service, through our service attitude, then this knowledge is, that's it, that Divyagan Hriday Prakashit. Then this knowledge is revealed into our heart. This is revealed knowledge, realized knowledge. It's not that just by reading a book we get the knowledge. Yes, book reading is necessary. We have to read books. Simultaneously, we have to do service also. So when we serve, we realize that knowledge what we have read in the book. So when we do service, we realize that knowledge what we have heard in a lecture in a class. So both goes hand in hand. So here, Hiranyakashipu is saying, just a minute. That the living entity, although engaged within the material body of which it is the source, is separate from it. Srila Prabhupada is explaining this verse, the purport, as in the Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Personality of Godhead has explained that the material energy and spiritual energy both emanate from Him. He means from Krishna. The material energy is described as Me Bhinna Prakriti Rashtrada, the eight separated energies of the Lord. But although the eight gross and subtle material energies, namely the earth, water, fire, air, and ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are stated to be Bhinna, separate from the Lord, but actually they are not. Why they are not? Because ultimately they are energy of the Lord, and energy and energetic are never separated, they are united. Because they are Lord's energy. So they are not Bhinna, but simultaneously they are Bhinna, they are separated energies of the Lord. They are material energies. As fire appears separate from wood, and as the air flowing through the nostrils and mouth of the body appears separate from the body, so the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears separate from the living and being, but is actually separate and not separate simultaneously. Similarly, Paramatma seems that he is separate from living entity, but practically speaking, he is not separate from living entity. He is always with the living entity. That's a famous analogy that we have always listened to, that on a tree there are two birds, one is soul and another is super soul, sitting side by side. So the soul bird is too busy in enjoying the fruits of the tree, so busy, sometimes tasting the fruits which are sweet in taste sometime, and when they are sweet he is relishing those fruits, and sometimes when the fruits are bitter he's just morose, he's just frustrated eating those fruits, why I have eaten them. Sometimes they're sour, just busy in just tasting those fruits. And the nature of this material world is like that, it is dual, means there is happiness, there is distress also. If there is heat, there is cold also. If there is praise, there is, you can say, reprimand also. It's totally, this material world is full of duality. So when we enjoy something in this world, when we enjoy too much, then there is too much suffering also, because material nature has to balance this duality. So while the soul bird is busy in experimenting with all these different tastes of this world, with all these dualities of this world, super soul is just sitting by side and waiting with patience. The day will come, the time will come when this soul, my friend, to whom I am the most well-wishing friend, will look at me. One day, my friend will look at me, and then all his distress and miseries will go away. He will be liberated. But the soul never looks. It's totally busy, engrossed, just doing experiments with all those tastes of the different fruits of the tree. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, is always with the soul, but simultaneously separate from the soul. This is Achintya Bhedabhed. This philosophy, Achintya Bhedabhed, is propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And according to reactions of karma, the living being appears separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but actually is very intimately related with the Lord. Consequently, even though we now seem neglected by the Lord, He is actually always alert to our activities. Yes, this is very important. We sometimes feel that we are neglected, that no one is watching us. Sometimes we doubt, even Krishna knows that I exist. So much is happening in my life, but Prabhupada is saying that Krishna knows, Paramatma knows. We are always under surveillance of Paramatma. He knows each and every bit of us. Every moment, what we are doing, He knows. And what we are thinking, that too He knows. What we desires, He knows. So, Krishna in Paramatma form is always with us. Always. And He is always alert to our activities. And under all circumstances, therefore, we should simply depend on the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus revive our intimate relationship with Him. So, when Paramatma is with us every time, so how can we reap the benefit of that? By always depending on Paramatma, always depending on Krishna. Because in this world, whenever we take shelter, because we are prone to take shelter, so whenever we take shelter, the nature of this world is that any object or another person is not sufficient in itself for himself to give us shelter because of their limitations. So there's only one person in this world to whom we can seriously take shelter, that is Paramatma, because he always stays with us wherever we goes. His network always stays. Therefore, he's capable enough to provide us that shelter because he's always close to us and we are intimately related to him. So our duty should be to revive that intimate relationship with him. That's what we said. Jnanageyam. We must depend upon the authority and control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we cannot be independent. As we know, 15 August is coming, Independence Day. So every one of us, we want that we should be liberated. We should be independent. We don't have to listen to anyone. We can do whatever we wish to do. But point is, a living entity, soul, Atma, cannot be independent. He has to listen to something or someone. Either the soul will listen to his mind, he will listen to his senses, or material nature. Either he will be under the material nature or the spiritual nature. He has to be under something. So, real independence, we can say, will be to declare our dependence on Krishna. Yes, Krishna, I am dependent upon you. That is real independence. So that I don't have to be dependent on those people or those objects who cannot provide me complete shelter. And those are, in direct words, we can say those who are not capable of providing me shelter. So we should be dependent upon the authority and control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the success of our life. If we are able to do that, how will we will be able to do that? Krishna says, Abhyas and Vairagya. We have to practice and practice to depend more and more on Krishna, and we have to stay away from those things who cannot provide us shelter, those who are incapable of providing us shelter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.